Okay, so my name's Michael O'Leary. I'm an occupational therapist and an assistive technology consultant. And my co-pilot today is Nikki Bork. She'll be answering questions where she can. So this first session is Boardmaker Online, creating printed resources. Boardmaker is well known. In fact, it is said that if a therapist knows any assistive technology software, it's probably at least the very first will be Boardmaker. The Boardmaker's been around for a very long time, close on 35 years. But when I started with Boardmaker, speech therapists that I used to work with at the Cerebral Palsy Centre, it was a book of symbols that speech therapists would photocopy and cut out the symbols that they wanted and paste them onto a communication board. And that was a book of symbols that was created by Roxy Meyer in the USA, a speech and language pathologist. Today, it does a lot more than that. Oh, I'm getting a reminder. I can dismiss that, I guess. Okay, so today, most people that are familiar with Boardmaker will know that you can create and print resources like communication boards and wall charts and schedules, etc. Boardmaker Online and certainly Boardmaker has developed to do a lot more than that. And so one of the reasons for running these webinars is to demonstrate to people just what Boardmaker can do, because what you're paying for today does a lot more than just printed resources. But it's a good place to start because there are a few differences with Boardmaker Online. Where the Spectronics is the agent for in Australia for Boardmaker. We're the agent for Tobii Dynavox. Boardmaker is majority of the development occurs in Pittsburgh, USA. If you go to our Spectronics website, you can sign up for our email newsletters, and there's lots of other information there, past email newsletters you can go to. If you have a Boardmaker specific request or a technical difficulty, you can click on a Boardmaker support request and fill in a simple online form that you can submit, and we'll sort of follow up from there. Or you can ring our local office with the phone number at the bottom there. So Boardmaker Online is a total system these days comprising three major parts. There's the editor, with which we create interactive and printed resources. There's the student center, and that's where it's a bit like a Boardmaker player, where students can access the activities via any web browser or an app. It can be an app in Android or, of course, iPad app. And so instructors, be they teachers or therapists, can assign interactive activities to their students, and the student can participate in that activity, and the system will record the student's success and the time they spend on it, which is fed back to the instructor that has assigned that. So I forgot to mention, by the way, that this webinar will be recorded and will be available for you to download from our website should you wish it or want to look at it at a later date. And then the third part of the system is curriculum, which are ready-made resources supporting language and literacy. Some of you will be familiar with. Let me just see here. We've got Reading Avenue and Core First Learning. So that has literally years of accessible ready-made resources that are available, all part of the package. And again, we'll be covering this in future webinars. So today we're focusing on the editor, with which we can which can be accessed on any web browser. It's a quick edit in place. All symbols are included and updated every 2 weeks in Boardmaker Online, whereas if you just purchase the installed Boardmaker Studio, obviously though you need to update those symbols, whereas Boardmaker Online is updated automatically. It is integrated with web search for images, so that if there's not a symbol that you wish, you can quickly click on the web search tab, which will show you, and you can find an image from Google Images. You can create multi-page documents, and as we'll see, it prints to PDF, which overcomes a lot of past issues with printing. Okay, so did I go to, yeah. So picture communication symbols, let's just talk about these. There are over 40,000 concepts and they're growing every day. So we'll do a quick overview of what the symbols are about. So there are the picture communication symbols. They're highly transparent. PCS symbols are easy to learn by children and people with cognitive disabilities. So there are four major types of the symbols. There's PCS Classic, PCS Thin Line, PCS High Contrast, and in context. So we'll look at a little bit closer at those. PCS Classic were the original symbols created by Roxy Meyer, and we lovingly refer to them as eggheads. It's part of the Boardware software family from the very beginning, often used with children, young students, and adults who are comfortable with its familiar style. Their clear, simple, and uncluttered style helps students draw meaning quickly. Then we have the PCS thin line. So about 10 years ago, Mayor Johnson started adding the PCS thin line to make them compatible with all the Boardmaker software family. They're clean but more detailed and look often more appealing to older users, and it offers more support for academic subjects and current events. And then this was a special project. The high contrast symbols were a special project as requested by, some of you will be familiar with Gail Porter, who's the creator of Pod. And she and Linda Burkhard worked together. There's not a complete set of symbols. It's about, I think about 2,000, but it's a powerful library for individuals with low vision and visual impairment. And so easier to see than standard symbols with bright colors and minimal detail. In fact, I saw a student yesterday who we probably need to be using PCS symbols because he has some visual problems. Then we have the in context symbols, and they're sort of basically created as another project for stroke and brain injured patients, and they're more illustrative with various contexts. So if we take the word more, instead of just more, there's more drink, there's more of this, there's more of that, and it shows a definite sort of concept which with common gestures to support understanding. Now what's happening? Let me see. I think I might have clicked on the wrong thing. Okay. Then there are topical symbols. So sometimes Boardmaker will be asked to add symbols, and anybody, any user of Boardmaker is welcome to suggest. You can email Spectronics and suggest a symbol that you would like added. But adding symbols which supports school life in particular for science, history, maths, religious instruction, government and politics, physical education, ICT, food technology, etc. And there are Australian symbols, which a lot of people say to me, are there any Australian symbols? Well, many years ago now, Jane Farrell, some of you be familiar with Jane Farrell, the speech and language pathologist. Jane and I would often be traveling around Australia in different hotels. She might be in a motel in Darwin and I might be in a motel in Cairns, but we'd sort of phone each other and discuss what Australian symbols we needed. And so this was where we obviously came up with symbols like Vegemite, and our Australian animals like bilby, Australian flags, Australian money, etc. And just recently, because we are working on a new version of Boardmaker, Some of you will have heard of Boardmaker 7 that should be released by the end of the year. I've submitted over 200 suggestions for symbols that will be more Australian. And I'm working on localization of Boardmaker activities to go, which again make them more relevant to Australia's needs. And so when people say, unfortunately, with Boardmaker Online, as we'll see, there's English UK or GB and English US. I'm hopeful that eventually there will be an English Australian AU, but just to convince people, if you have Boardmaker Studio, if you have a look there, there is PCS Country Australia. So they do exist. And of course, it's best to have them all turned on and just do a search. So there are regular updates of Boardmaker symbols. More recently,
can you just double check that?
More recently, there were symbols relevant to coronavirus. And then sometimes we just sort of sit and think, oh, what symbols haven't we got? Because language, as you know, is always changing, and so we'll add topic symbols and say, oh, wouldn't it be great to have a symbol like that? And we get requests from people all over the place. A good example there is like, oh, you know, maybe we need some symbols of how to make and drink tea, which is a very English sort of thing. In Australia, probably more likely to need coffee. And then more recently, we've had awareness of internet sort of care and attention. So Internet Safety Week, they created a whole heap of symbols relevant to that. So it's an ongoing built up thing. And again, as I've said, in Boardmaker Online, those symbols are just added typically every fortnight. So this thing is creating printed resources, and all of what you see is has been created using templates from Boardmaker Online. Before I actually log into, because I've got to change my page now, are there any questions anybody has? How are we going, Nikki?
A question.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, can you speak up?
Oh, are you going to show us how to make it from scratch?
Yes, very shortly. That's so I'll be showing you, that's the next slide. We make a print resource from a template. We create a print resource from scratch, and we'll work with the symbols to see how you can edit and create your own symbols. And we'll be looking at the properties panel, and we'll be printing to a PDF. Also available from our website will be a PDF page which has 5 steps for creating printed resources, which are with links to very short little videos. So you can very quickly say, oh, how do I do this? How do I do that? So that will be available for download as well. Okay, so it also includes Boardmaker Studio, and what we have done in Australia, because our internet speeds are typically very slow, with Boardmaker Online, as we'll see, you can download Boardmaker Studio and work offline. So if you don't have access to the internet, you can log into Boardmaker Studio, and then, so what happens is with Boardmaker Studio, you'll see on the right-hand diagram there, you can work on this computer or you can work with Boardmaker Online, and it all looks very similar and integrated. Okay, so I'm just going to escape now and minimize this, and I'll go to, let me go to Phonics, and we'll go to Boardmaker Online. And I've got several logins, so I need to check what I'm logging into. Just hang on. Oh, do I need to change my shared window? Nikki? Yeah, let me go to Teams meeting room and let me go to stop sharing, and now I need to share a different window, and that should be this one, I hope. Yep. Okay, hopefully everybody can see that now. And I'll just move this little guy up if I can.
That's the correct one.
Okay, thanks. All right, so I'm logged in as Michael here, and you can see here we've got Studio, and that's your Studio license. So if you make a note of that, as I say, you can download Boardmaker Studio onto 2 machines. It's currently not the case, but in the future you'll only be able to use it on 1 machine at a time. But we've long since moved past the days when you could slip in a disk, a CD into the drive. We don't have to do that anymore. So that's worth considering because, as I say, it's can be a lot quicker. I should also say that within Boardmaker, when Boardmaker 7 is launched, the editor is actually a downloaded thing as well. So you're not actually editing online, which should make it a lot faster. But for us, we're just going to go to My Boardmaker. And you can see here we've got in My Boardmaker, we've got create activity, create an activity set. You'll see the past activities that we've got. And so these are ones that I've been working on, and you'll see some of them have a little printed page next to it, a little page, and that means it's a printed activity. Or you'll see some with a screen, and that means it's an on-screen activity for an interactive activity. You'll also see at the side of these activities, you've got a little toolbar that says you can print it, you can play it, you can edit it, you can share it, you can delete it if you wish, you can expand on it. I just want to quickly show you too, you can upload an activity so that for those people who have used Boardmaker 6 or even Boardmaker 5, you can upload those activities. In fact, you can upload multiple activities if you wish, and upload all of your previous communication boards and things, resources that you have made, and upload them onto Boardmaker Online to use them. So, but today we're going to look at creating an activity. So we click on Create Activity. And we'll see here we've got a new blank activity. We've got all types that are interactive. We've got performance activities, which are aligned with, unfortunately, North American curriculum standards. But then if we look on the right-hand tab, we've got print, and there are over 400 print activities. So that's how we can select from our templates. And then on the left-hand side here, we've got the activity types, which is like the another aspect of the template picker. But we can also do a search here. So if I do a search on schedule and do a return, we have one of 16, but we have a total of 32 schedules that we can choose from. So we can scroll down and have a look at a schedule. I'm going to pick the 5 steps vertical schedule box. And if you have a look here, it says show sample. So if I click on show sample, it will show me what this is about. And again, this just shows you how sometimes Boardmaker can be fairly slow. Now, if it's got, you'll notice there's an arrow on the right-hand side, a bit like you have when you get pictures in Facebook. That means there's more than one slide. So if we click on that, you'll see that they've added to that the 5 pictures for their schedule, and then also the 5 stars that says done. So we can look at that and we go, yeah, that's pretty well what we like. So we can close that and leave and go back and click on select to select that template. And that's, I apologize for the internet speed. I hope this is going to work. Yeah. This site can't be reached. Let's try again. Oh, what the hell happened there? Let's go to create activity again. I beg your pardon about this. Sometimes if you get a glitch on the internet, it does play up a little bit. We went to print and we did a search on schedule and do a return. We scrolled down and we selected, don't want to do too many. So let's click on select again. Ta-da! It might work quicker if people that are not communicating, if you mute your microphone and perhaps your video, that makes the whole system work a bit quicker. Geez, it shouldn't be taking this long. There we go. Okay, so now if everybody can see that, we have our 5 block schedule. So what we can do, we can edit our title. We click on the title bar and we'll say, I have 2 daughters, Jasmine and Janin, and it's a schedule for Monday. I was saying to my staff today, it's funny how children sort of, you know, wander through life in the here and now. They don't have to worry about future, which is why schedules can be important.
You said you're sharing the Boardmaker screen, but you can't see what you're doing.
Can't see what I'm doing?
No, it's just frozen.
Oh, can you have a look now? Because it was frozen, but just check for me. So this is called inline editing. So, you know, we don't have to, in previous ones, you would click on a symbol and search for a symbol and then click on it to paste it into the box. In this particular one, we just type in. So we're going to do breakfast. Can everybody see me? What? Looks like I might need to share a different screen. Let me just reduce on that. Let me come to this.
You just need to change the screen that we can see.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. Let me just see what's happening. Geez, it's a bit complicated, isn't it? Is it this one? Yep. Oh, so when it opens up a new window, you've got to change screen again.
Yeah.
Geez, it's not very good. All right. Okay, sorry about that, guys. So here we have our schedule, and we've changed the title to Jasmine and Janet. And I was saying that it's an inline sort of button editor, so you don't need to go to, as you did with previous ones, search for symbols. We just click on enter breakfast and we click return, and it will bring up our symbol editor. And I'm hoping that you guys are seeing this. My girls have cereal for breakfast, so we can click on eat breakfast and do select. And there we've got our first one. The next thing they could do is perhaps some, what did I do? We did some reading. And again, so we just type that in the box. click on a reading and select that. Then we can go to, let me see, my daughter Janin plays bass. So if we type in bass and we click on that, there's not really much there that says much about bass, but she plays bass with a guy named Josh. So when you can't find a symbol, you can, if you've got a picture of it, you could go to My Media, or we'll do a web search. So it's integrated with a web search, and we'll search bass with Josh and see if we can get a picture that way. So we click on this, and again, you might have to change screen, although it should be integrated. So she has an online teacher. And here we've got a picture of Josh teaching bass. So we can click on that and say select. And don't tell me I was on the wrong one. Shouldn't have been, no. Let me do that again. By the way, this is where you can have US English or US GB. It's probably best to use the GB because that's more like our spelling. So I'm going to do this search again and see what's happened. I think we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves with the internet. I have to say this is the first time I've done this webinar with we go, bass Josh. Oh, this is the one I wanted. No, I want this guy. Select. Ah, there we go. So we've got a picture of Josh. So bass lessons, but we could change that. Sorry, I didn't want to move it. Just click on it and we can come in here and edit the name of that label and just put music lesson. And then we can do, let me see, we can do writing. Next. And select that one. And then the last one we can do their ballet lessons at the end of the day. And again, we've got symbols for ballet, not the best symbols. I'm just going to use the ballet shoes because that's what they need to put on first. So now we've got our ballet shoes. So that's entered the thing. I'm not going to do the ticks because in this particular schedule, I'm just going to put it in a little plastic sleeve and we can use a whiteboard marker to tick them off as they're done. One of the things that we can do, if we sort of select all our symbols now, we can sort of see what we can do with this. So if we look at properties now, I just need to move this up. So I can change the text. I might prefer to use a more familiar font like Arial. So I can change the text. I can increase the size of the text. And if that's a problem, if it starts to get too big, obviously the symbol's getting smaller and smaller. And of course it doesn't then work. So we can bring it down a bit, but we can also drag this over a wee bit and make out, sorry, I should have made that a bit bigger. Oh, why is that not working? Yeah. I can make those symbols a wee bit bigger and move them across the page. I can also come down here and I can change the background filling. So if I come to here, I can select something that they're sort of familiar with. They do love pink, so I can make them all pink. You'll notice on this left-hand side, there's a little button here, and that gives you the pages. Now, I don't particularly need the symbols there, but with this one, what I can do is click on this and do copy, and I can paste. So I've got 2. And now I've got 2. So Janin plays bass, so I can sort of edit my heading here, and so that's Janin for Monday, and she's playing bass. And then on this one, I can make this Jasmine's Monday, and delete that. And because she doesn't play bass, I can change that and type, I think, flute. And again, if I do the return, we'll have a picture for flute, so we can select that. So now I've got 2. Another thing I can do is when we come to this properties button name. Oh, so I need to select all the buttons. What I can do is solid, where is that now? What I can do is see the label location. I can come to this. So Jasmine doesn't particularly need the pictures. She likes text only. She doesn't want the symbols, so we can have label right, label only in the center. So she only gets labels. And if I go to Janin's board, I can select all of that. And I can go to symbol only. She doesn't need the words, she can just use symbols. Okay, so then having done that, we go to our file menu and we save our board. So we can say save activity, and we save it as Jay's schedule Monday, and we save that. So that saves our the activity that we've made, or the board that we've made. And I'm sorry I'm going over time a bit, guys, because of internet problems. And then we go to file and we can say print the activity, and when we print the activity, it prints it to a PDF and prints it as a PDF. You can also download that PDF and save it. Okay, so having done that, we can now go to file and let's do a new page. No, cancel that, I don't need that. Let's clicked on save, we can leave this one, and now we're going to create an activity from scratch. So again, what I'll have to do is go to my Boardmaker Online, create activity, and this time we'll select a new blank activity. And again, I might have to go to this and make sure I'm sharing that screen. So let me just have a look. Yeah, this one. Hopefully all of you can see that now. Okay, so this is the standard blank page. It has ruler on the top and down the bottom, down the side, and you can change that from centimeters to inches. So we click on, first of all, our box or button page, and that creates our first button. Then we can click on spray, and we can spray our cells. So we've got like so, and then because that's going over the page, I can just click on that side and make sure that it sort of fits in, and that gives us all our cells. One of the nice things is if I delete that now and I create one button, this is a nice feature. If I click on here, because this is going to be a reward board. Let me see. Okay, thanks. So I click, and we should have loading results for start. So there's our start. And we say select. And now, if I spray that button, get all stars. And I could save that and print it off and cut them all out as stars to be stuck on things. So that's sort of one neat way of doing things.
Yeah.
Let's just sort of delete all that again. Let's create a button though. And let's create a big button to play with. So I can now put in, because this is going to be a reward page, so we can have, whoops, a star. Oops. It's because I put that slash in by error. Let's do star. Okay, so we'll select our star in. And we've got that in there. And then if we go to our symbols, search for, because I want to maybe add another star. So this is where we create a specific symbol that we want. So, and I can just click and tag that in to the same button. And you'll see it comes up with a little window that says, do you want to replace it or do you want to add it? So we can say add. Now we've got another star. And let's do one more. So we'll add another star to our symbol. And again, we can say add to. And we'll see that these can be sort of sized. We can also say, like, we want to add, as a reward, they get to play with their iPad. So we iPad here. Let's drag that over. And again, add to. And we can sort of size that. And we can also say, okay, they like to read. So if we do reading, but Jasmine in particular likes Harry Potter. So we search Harry Potter. And there we go. We can read Harry Potter. And again, we add that to the symbol. So, but do note that this is unlike a standard symbol, this is a group symbol. And so it's, if I size it, I can size that bit. And that's fair enough. We can sort of move that about. But if I try to size this group symbol now, it doesn't resize what's in it. So, and I can take this label off and say reward. Now, again, if I click return, it'll go and search a symbol. If I just click off it, it'll stay with reward. And I can size all of these. So I've made a reward sheet for Jasmine. And we can size our boards, etc. So, and then again, as usual, we can click on save here and just call reward Jasmine and click save. And again, we can sort of print that off as we wish. So that's basically what happens to this. I'm going to sort of minimize this now. As I said, you can print this, you can duplicate the pages, etc. If I click out of that now and leave, and I'll go to share back to my PowerPoint, which should be somewhere here. Not my screen desktop. No, I need to open my PowerPoint first. Here we go, and click on Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? PowerPoint. Yep. Is everybody seeing that now? So basically, as I said, with Boardmaker Studio, it's fully interactive. Now, I'll say again that one of the reasons for doing this is that I wanted our Boardmaker Online users to be familiar with what Boardmaker Online can do, and that you can also download Boardmaker Studio. If people haven't purchased Boardmaker Online or subscribe to it, that's an annual subscription. There's a 30-day trial for Boardmaker Online. So if you go to boardmaker.com, you'll be able to get a free trial for 30 days just to see what you want to do. Let me expand on that. And this is, I say, is our webinar schedule. If you want to register for any of these, if you click on that URL link, a bit.ly URL link, or if you go to our front web page and click on the newsletter for August the 5th, it'll register these for you. So the next webinar is using the Boardmaker community. So we want to have a look at what is available in the Boardmaker community. There's literally thousands of things. So what I'm trying to do is to save teachers and therapists time, and parents. So rather than creating everything from scratch all the time, having a look and seeing with search facilities what's going to work quickly for you. You might find something, and sometimes it might be almost correct, but you need to make a slight change, but that's easier than starting from scratch. A good example of that is, if you have a look at activities that discuss the seasons, invariably we have a snowman. That's very rare that children in Australia will see snow. So you might need to sort of change the pictures in that. And then the next one is creating interactive resources. And these are resources that the student can use on a PC, on a Macintosh, or on an iPad, or an Android tablet. And that's where a teacher or a therapist can assign those activities. And this would have been very helpful with our COVID-19 system, where students, especially in Victoria, are working at home. These are activities that could have been sent home. Then we've got another one looking at ready-made resources, an in-depth look at that. And then we're looking at how to use the Boardmaker Student Centre, how to invite students and parents to use the Boardmaker Student Centre. And then later in November, after the end of the term holidays, we'll be looking at Core First Learning and Reading Avenue, which are curriculum type activities. Thank you for your time.